All right, so today we're going to dive into an introduction to the energy systems of the bodies as they are understood in the Eastern world. We'll cover a little bit of the Western topics, um, Western, systems structures, but it'll be mostly the Eastern structures, so Daoists and Ayurvedic, so TCM and Ayurvedic paths, Yogic paths. So um, with that, let's get going here. Really quick, quick disclaimer: if you guys hear snoring in the background here, it's not me. I didn't fall asleep on camera. I've got an elderly bulldog that likes to sleep in the room with me. So, uh, yeah, sorry if it gets a little bit overwhelming. I will try and cut it out of the background here, the video. She wouldn't leave the room today. So, all right. Okay, so in this video, we're just like I said, we're going to go into um, the general concepts of the different energy systems as they're seen throughout a few major, cultural systems. And so you can actively find many of these in books where um, practitioners actually they'll kind of claim them as their own, right? And that's generally not always the case. And so um, some of that I'll touch on a little bit in the next video. This video we're just going to run through it. All right. Okay. So what we're talking about here is it's not the woo woo Holy Spirit activate type of of energy. It's literally it's energy that you can feel. It can be triggered through extreme beliefs such as meditation, prayer, or even ritual work. And you can actually, believe it or not, you can feel it and move it through the body, um, and potentially others, right? Depending on the individual, the practitioner, how long they've been working with the nervous system and the energy systems. And so, um, we're going to kind of, one other thing I forgot to mention was the Sekhem or the Egyptian path, right? I'm gonna touch a little bit on that as well, but it's gonna be very, very brief, just because there's a lot to those uh, the book of the coming forth by day, or in the book of the dead, right? Coming, and so there's a lot to it, and that's going to be actually a whole series of videos. So I'll go into Anubis and the funerary or rites and things like that from the book of the dead, and then other things, other general ritualistic workings in a different series. But all right, so first off, um, these are um, general uh, general systems that they're seen across cultures. These are systems that humans have mapped as invisible vital energy that animates the body. So ULF, VLF. If you're in the world of mysticism, the vital life force is something that's discussed a lot. Um, and so these energy systems, they are the actual systems that animate us. All right, they are what transmute our food and oxygen into energy, right, for use in exercise, movement, and even thinking. Right, um, the air we breathe. These systems actually transmute, store, and send that oxygen into the bloodstream, and then they turn around and send carbon dioxide back out, right? The waste, um, and out the intestines as well, and urinary tract, and other stuff, food waste. And so we're going to jump into, some of these systems from more of an energy healing side, energy perspective. And so that way I can kind of going forward truly share, my understanding and knowledge of different topics, so you can kind of get an idea of how I'm viewing these things. Um, I felt it was necessary. So anyway, um, at the end of this video, I'm actually going to share a little bit about um, the next video that's coming out Friday. And honestly and truly, you guys are not going to want to miss this. All right. The videos, the topic is phenomenal. Right. It's something I've actually been holding on to for a while. So anyway, all right. So up first, let's talk about energy. So chi, what is chi? Chi, it roughly translates to, vital energy or life force or breath. It represents the fundamental animating force that flows through all living things and the universe. All right. There's many types. I put a few up here on the screen. In Qigong, there's a ton of different types of chi that is literally associated with everything. All right. Um, all right. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into the meridians and the vessels and all that. But there's pathways up here. It's a balance of the yin and yang energies, duality, and then applications. Um, Acupuncture, Tai Chi, Qigong, TCM, meditation. Um, there's more as well. But I kind of stuck with those, right? This is a general for the general practitioner. All right, so what is chi? Um, these symbols right here, the top ones here, this literally means air or empty chi, right? The middle one here is essentially a grain of rice, and so it or uncooked rice or raw rice, right? The grains, and so essentially, it means air rice or vapor rice or things like that, essentially indicating that the air that you breathe in and the food that you eat, it is converted into the energy. That is what is actually created from that is the energy in the body. And so the air, the upper wavy lines, like I already said, they've kind of got the long leg to represent, air or vapor. And then, um, together, these two, symbols, they actually, um, they form, the vital life force, the dynamic transformation of what we take into, active, bioelectric energy. Okay, so the three Dantian. And the last video, I did mess up. I called I called one of them I call it the upper hara instead of the dantian, and I apologize again. It's still kind of kicking myself in the butt about that one, but it's all right. All right. So there's three dantians, the upper, middle, and lower, and so the when Taoists discuss or talk about or think about syncing the chi, right, to the dantian, the lower dantian, right? That's generally, pushing that energy down and storing it into the lower dantian so it can then be used later or transmuted and used for other things. They center the mind on and focus on deep abdominal breathing. Okay. The practitioners aim to calm the nervous system, lower blood pressure, and move away from that mental anxiety or the fight and flight mode, essentially. Um, the lower dantian that is located. It's about 3 inches behind and slightly below the navel. All right, and so it is physical, the physical center of gravity and the body's primary reservoir of vitality. It governs digestion, reproduction, and the foundational energy for grounded movement. I'm going to jump past the middle dantian for a minute, and we'll go straight to the upper one. There's a reason why, but the upper dantian is essentially the mind. All right, it's located in the center of the forehead, the third eye area. It corresponds to the brain, sensory organs, contemplation, cultivation of spiritual awareness. And so, how I generally see this is going to be, um, we'll talk about that actually here in a little bit. But just know that the upper and lower are considered as being connected by what's called a threshing vessel or a path. And so essentially it's another energy path inside the body, which we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But all right, so the middle dantian is actually the heart. It's located in the center of the chest. It's associated with the breath and the circulation of blood, right? It acts as the body's emotional and interaction center, for these emotions. So the eight vessels, right? The governing vessel, the conception vessel, and the penetrating or thrusting vessel are going to be uh, the ones you're going to hear most about, or hear the most about. And so um, these are going to be the ones that run up the front and back. And so in acupuncture, these are going to be the ones that you'll hear the most about. And so the belt vessel is more if you think about the area of balance, right, and where your body is balanced, and so that's going to be around that area. But again, these top three right here are going to be the ones that you're generally going to hear a lot about. All right. So the most famous reference that comes, this most famous reference comes from Lao Tzu, Tao Te Ching, right? Particularly chapter 11. Okay, it actually uses the vessels to illustrate the value of emptiness. Okay, philosophically, it was stated as clay is shaped into a vessel. It is empty space, and within that makes it useful. Right? This teaches that emptiness is what gives things their function. Right? The Tao is often compared to an empty vessel that is never exhausted. All right, so there's also a contrast between the Tao and Qi. Okay, so Tao is formless. It's the way. It's what is. It is the whatever there is out there, the above form. All right. Qi is vessels, instruments, manifested world of forms, energy. It's more physical. Okay. So these these vessels are generally considered, reservoirs of chi. Okay, they're central to Nidan practice. I think I said that right. Especially when you start looking at the microcosmic orbit meditation. Okay, and essentially you're circulating the chi through the Du and Ren channels, right? The conception and governing channels. All right. So, in Taoist internal alchemy, also the body houses, three these three primary vessels is what these are going to be called, and so, or meridians, right? And these act as the main highway, essentially for circulating chi through vital breath and cultivating the spirit. And so we've kind of already talked about them, but they're the Dumai, right? That thing runs up the spine to the head. It governs the yang energy, and it controls the three gates of the back. All right. You've got the Renmai, which is actually the conception vessel. That runs the front, center of the torso, and it governs the yin energy. All right, and that which nourishes the body, and then the Chongmai, which is the thoroughfare or thrusting vessel, and it's called the Sea of Blood. All right, it penetrates the core of the body, connecting uh, the upper and lower the prenatal vitality of the kidneys, with the earth is essentially it it states. All right, so six yin meridians, and I just realized I had a three in here. So I believe I said three. It was actually six, but we'll jump back over here. All right. So the yin meridians, we've got the lungs, the spleen, the heart, the kidneys, liver, pericardium, right? So these are the six yin meridians. The they generally govern exactly what they state, right? So the lungs govern respiration, spleen digestion, the heart circulating blood, kidney it stores of primal essence or Jing. Um, Pericardium is going to protection for the heart, and then the liver ensures a smooth flow of Qi. Um, all right, so all of these are located on the interior surfaces of the limbs and the front of the body. So the softer sides. When you start thinking of these meridians and channels through the body, energy channels, the yin side would be the softer side. The yang would be the outer or the harder side. So outer is going to be yang, inner is going to be yin. So um, trying to think of other examples. Turtles, right? The shell would be more yang, and the body would be more yin. All right. So location, these primarily trace the interior surface of the limbs, like I had said. Um, the direction of flow, right? So the hand yin meridians flow from the chest down to the fingertips, while the leg yin meridians flow upward, right, from the toes to the thorax. And so, definitely different flows. A lot of stuff to digest that I'm not going to go into in this video because I'm still trying to keep them shorter, which this one's going to be a little bit longer, unfortunately, but hopefully not too long. All right. Unlike the Yang meridians, which share similar pairings, the Yin network encompasses five elemental phases. So, metal, which is the lung, earth, which is the spleen, water, which is the kidney, fire, which is the heart, and pericardium, and wood, which is liver. All right. The Yang meridians, as I stated, they run along the exterior surfaces of the limbs and the back of the body, right? They correspond to the hollow fu organs, right, which are responsible for transforming, absorbing, and excreting substances. So, the Yang meridians are six energetic pathways, just like the Yin meridians, and um, essentially essentially the same, right? They're used to digest, absorb, and excrete. And so the greater yang or the Tai Yang, which is going to be the whole system, right? And so it's known as the most external level, right? It protects the body from the outside elements. And so um, the arm is is actually so I'm trying to think of the best way. So in the arms, the legs, there's different meridians that run through each, right? And so from a the arm side, right? An example, small intestines would be would kind of govern digestion and clarity, and but they those run the outside of part of the arm, which I'll show you those charts here in just a minute. The leg on one side, urinary and bladder, right? Governs removal of liquid waste. And then so you've got the Yang Ming, which is the bright Yang, and that's the most active, energy abundant phase responsible for transforming, absorbing nutrients. And so on the arm, a large intestine meridian, it processes waste and regulates fluids. Leg, stomach meridian, digests food and distributes the energy throughout. Okay. Um, the where are we at? The Xiao Yang, the Lesser Yang. This is a traditional, a transitional pivot between the exterior Yang and interior Yang, right, of the body. And so uh, the arm, this is where the triple burner comes into play. Okay. For those who don't know what the triple burner is, I'll be getting into that in a later video when I start diving into um, ways to move and cultivate and build chi. All right. Um, but essentially, it's the San Jiao meridian. It regulates the metabolism and temperature. All right, and then the last one on this is going to be the gallbladder meridian in the leg. All right. And so here are the things, all right? And I'm gonna cover this with my mouse so you guys can't see his stuff. But this right here is going to be all of your meridians and even your like your acupuncture, acupressure points, energy points. If you do bars, right, some of this may look a little familiar up in the head. So access bars, anybody that doesn't know what that is, essentially, it's just light touch, right? So they go in and they do light touch on your head and face, and it relaxes you, puts you into a different uh, relaxation state and such, and it actually helps heal trauma and other things, right? And so, but these right here, these are just general meridian charts, and so um, you can find a ton of these online, way more detailed ones, way more detailed. All right. Um, Okay. So next we're gonna get into the seven gates. All right. So these are all of the the traditional in traditional Chinese medicine and Taoist Qigong. The seven gates actually refer to key energetic centers or anatomical gateways along the body's midline. And this probably sounds very familiar to a lot of people, which we're going to link a lot of this here in as we move forward in this video. But um, and specifically, the conception and governing vessels. Opening these gates allows chi, life force, energy to flow freely, right? It is the foundation for circulating energy during the microcosmic orbit meditation. And there are seven major energy gates that you can see on the screen here, right? And starting at the bottom, right, they literally align with the perineum. So the first gate is absolutely right there at the root. Um, Earth energy, right? Second gate, the gate of life, which is actually going to be directly opposite the navel. It's actually the root of vitality and houses and the body's original Jing, original essence. All right. The third gate, spirit path. It's in the middle of the spine between the shoulder blades. A palace of the wind, located at the back of the skull. 100 meetings, located at the very top of the crown of the head. You've got the sixth gate, the upper lip meets the upper gums. Let's see here. A sea of energy, and that's about 1.5 inches below the navel. All right, and so they're spread out a little bit more, a little bit differently than than the chakra, but it's, I mean, essentially, if when you start diving into some of these, as you're going through, you realize that a lot of these systems point to very, very similar, if not the same things. All right, and just call it something different for that culture, for that period of time, for um, that part of the world, right? And so next, we're going to jump into the yogic path, and so Ayurvedic, and so in here, right, prana. Prana is the same is essentially the same as chi, right? A Sanskrit word translates to life force or vital energy. In Hindu philosophy, yoga, Ayurveda, it refers to the universal invisible energy that permeates everything in existence, all right, animating all living beings and connecting the universe. Sounds familiar, right? So the meaning of pra means constant, before or to fill. Ana is breath, movement, or force. Um, in yoga and in Ayurveda, prana is not just a single energy, but it's actually categorized into five, vital functions known as the Vayus or the winds. Okay, these govern different activities in the body. Okay, so the five Vayus you can see right here on the screen. You've got the prana, apana, samana, udana, vyana, right? And so these are all right here, right? Whole body, throat, navel, pelvis, chest, wind. And then up here, the five Vayus, the wind. And so, how prana is used and cultivated. Um, Pranayama. So the yogic practice of controlling the breath, pranayama, comes from prana, energy, plus yama, which is control or expansion, or it means control or expansion. It involves specific breathing techniques designed to clear energetic blockages. Okay, and it also increases the flow of life force in the body. So when you do this, it's said that according to yogic texts and uh, you know other documentation, imagery, etc. Uh, Prana flows through thousands and thousands of subtle energy channels in the body, and these are called nadis. Okay, um, the most well known being the Ida, the Pingala, and the Sushuma. All right, and these inside of Kundalini, these are very very well known, and many other practices inside of the yogic traditions. All right. Um, so, from a daily life perspective, prana is believed to be absorbed from the environment, okay, notably through sunlight, fresh air, pure water, and even natural foods. Spending time in nature is often considered an effective way to replenish the body's pranic reserves. So on the screen, you can see right here, they believe that there's now more than 72,000, but this was the last number that I could find. 72,000 channels, energy channels in the body that they believe that this is transferred through. And so when we get a little bit further down the road here, um, I will be teaching you how to use um, the energy of your nervous system for many things is going to be kind of crazy, and so I really want to build up to that and make sure that I've got folks who who are kind of willing to give it a try as well, because it's absolutely insane. Like, and I'll tell you about Sivite in another video, but through that meditation, some of the things that I was able to feel and have been able to feel since then are absolutely just crazy. So, um, all right, I kind of digressed there, went off on a little tangent. So, Sushima is the central channel, right? It's the spine. Right, Ida is the left, the lunar, the cooling, the feminine side. Pingala is the right, the solar, the heating, and the masculine. Their intertwining forms the caduceus, okay? Um, or a caduceus like pattern through the chakras. The video tomorrow I'm going to discuss, or sorry, the video later in the week, I'm going to actually discuss I'm going to discuss the opposite spinning and such. My understanding of that, right? Is there? I've had people ask like, I don't understand, like, how can the chakras spin in both directions? And there's a very simple answer. I will tell you about this at the end of this week. All right. All right. So these are the 39 main energy channels associated um, with with this practice. Branching out from the central axis, right? There are 36 secondary nadis, okay? Each of these connect to the different chakras, to connect the chakras to various sensory organs, all right, and limbs. They're mapped as follows, okay? The sensory connections, there's 10 of them. There's 10 nadi. These manage sensory inputs and specific organs, including channels to the right and left of the eyes, the mouth, the ears, vocal cords, and the upper and lower abdomen. Okay. The next 14 are vital organs and systems. Okay. These route energy to crucial systems, including the heart, the digestive tract, the eliminatory organs, all right, and the reproductive system. And the last 12 that I'm going to talk about, these are extremities and structural points, okay? So these distribute prana to the arms, legs, fingertips, toes, joints, um, unblocking and balancing the 39 main channels is actually the primary focus of practices like pranayama breath work, the mudras, um, and asanas and hatha and Kundalini yoga. All right, the koshas, the five koshas, and the three bodies. So the three yogic bodies are the physical, subtle, and casual. All right. Um, then you have the yogic 5-layer energy model, all right, energy body model. And so these layers progress from the most tangible on the outside to the most subtle on the inside. Okay. So the anamaya is the first one, right? That's the physical body. Um, you work with it generally by practicing physical, yoga and postures, asana, maintaining a healthy diet, focusing on physical body awareness, the energy system. Um, Essentially, it is the outermost food sheath. All right, that encompasses your muscles, bones, skin, and your organs, like the physical portions of the body. All right. So, Manamaya is mentally and emotional body, right? That one is going to be the mind and emotion sheath, and it you generally use it to process your daily sensory input, your feelings and habitual reactions. Um, trying to think because I generally would probably consider this also starting to fall into um synchronicities, right? And just kind of keeping an eye on things, and your intuition starting to kind of crop up there. So um how do you work with it? You engage in mindful meditation, repeating mantras, and practicing yamas and niyamas, to develop emotional discipline. Next is the where are we at here? So Vinanamaya, which is wisdom. All right, and so this is the wisdom or intellect. It's generally the sheath of intuition. Okay, higher knowledge and even discernment. It allows you to see things clearly and make wise decisions. All right, so to work with this, you would practice deep reflection, self study, uh, svadhyaya, svatya, svathyaya, and meditation. There we go. And then I totally butchered that. I apologize to any of my friends um, over in the eastern regions for butchering your terms. I apologize. Um, all right, so the next one is going to be an Anandamaya, which is the bliss body, and so that is the innermost sheath. It is the state of pure joy, inner peace, and spiritual connection. And so, how to work with that? Generally, your different meditations. Your self-reflection, your taking care of yourself, those types of things are going to be generally how you would work with that. Okay. So these ones are the Sekhem Heka. This is Egyptian, and so I'm going to fly through this one because this is going to be a huge, huge, huge topic later. We've still got a few more slides to get through, and so I want to fly through this. So just know that Sekhem is the vital power, the life force divine. It's the same as you know essentially the others. It embodies the fierce life energy, right? And Heka is the magic that would be used to move or divine force to move that energy around, right? And use it for manifestation, essentially. All right. And so these are the general energy structures. So the Egyptians mapped at least nine, which again, I really, really, really want to devote time to this. And so with us already kind of coming up on 40 minutes, I want to save time. And so these two or this right here, just stay tuned. We will dive into the Egyptian energy systems. All right. So next, we've got the main chakras. All right. So everybody knows of the seven chakras in the central channel. There are many, many more though. All right. And the next video I will dive into some of the others that you can see with Reiki, or you use with Reiki. All right. Just for now, know that these are the actual chakras, and also one thing I did forget to mention here is for the naysayers of the chakra, for those who believe that there is no scientific alignment to any of this, the throat chakra aligns directly with the thyroid gland, the third eye, the pineal gland, the crown, the pituitary gland, the heart chakra would be the thymus, right? Solar plexus, the pancreas. The sacral is the sexual reproduction organs, and the root would be your adrenal glands. So all of these systems, they are actually, you know, truly focusing on legitimate things, not woo woo spiritual stuff. All right. So I just wanted to throw that out there. All right, so expanded comparative mappings. Here we go. We haven't discussed Kundalini in depth yet. We absolutely will. All right. For now, just understand that um, the locks in Kundalini and different yogic methods, they also align with these. Okay, so in Kundalini, when you do your locks, right, you know, the first lock is your root lock. It's right down at your perineum, for a male, and your anus, right, then your diaphragm, then your neck. Okay, and just almost like a stomach vacuum, except you don't swallow. And so what you're doing essentially is pulling that up. And so uh, this is, all of these align, right? When you start looking at them, right? So lower dantian, right? So Svadhisthana, Manipura, the root, sacral, and solar plexus, all of those would fall in the lower dantian. The middle dantian, anahata, and the heart. Upper dantian, ajna, the throat, third eye, crown. All right, meridians and the nadis, chi, prana, vital life force, kundalini, microcosmic orbit, meditation, kriya yoga, and even tumo breathing. Right, all of these are effectively similar to each other. And so, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because if you if you struggle with one of these methods, right? If you struggle in Kundalini, if you struggle with the locks, right? Try the Taoist version. Try the mysticism version, or you know, I hate to say it, I'm gonna dive into some Emerald Tablet stuff, but it there are exercises in the Golden Dawn, right, that were adapted from some of this for these same reasons. And so um, that's why you can absolutely find the links, find the matches in these, and adapt them to what you feel fits you. All right. What feels right to you, what feels right for your body. Also, there's one other reason, and we will get into that here in just a little bit. All right. Essentially, this is creating a more complete energy healing system. Okay. So the energy field, right? The human energy field and the body. Okay. So HeartMath Institute, um, the human heart is actually the strongest source of electromagnetic energy in the body. All right. The heart's electromagnetic field is 60 times greater in amplitude than the brain. And the magnetic field is up to 5,000 times stronger, radiating outward at a in a measurable toroidal pattern. All right. And so this field is directly influenced by emotional states, feelings of appreciation, calm, and it generates coherent, smooth rhythms. You know, while stress and anxiety, while in stress and anxiety, it creates erratic ones. All right. Um, Now, as this is flowing, it kind of, you know, if you look at it, if you think about it from a three-dimensional, it kind of forms a donut, which most people already know this. But it doesn't just form one donut, okay? There are many. Okay, and so we'll talk about that here in a second. But essentially, if you think about the yin yang symbol and how it spins, okay, it spins like this, or it's got the movement look to it, right? It's essentially just a spiral. I mean, it's the spiral, okay, and so um yeah, so sacred geometry and energy work. All right, so let's dive into that. All right, in esoteric and holistic studies, the toroidal flow, it actually represents the human aura or the biofield. Okay, practitioners believe that it connects individuals to the universal life force, continuously moving energy up and down through the central channel and the chakra. It's a universal pattern, right? The torus is considered the fundamental shape of energy dynamics in nature. So, um, Fibonacci sequence, all of the what are those things called? The plants that are like, oh man, it's gonna drive me nuts. Uh, Looks like the hens and chicks or whatever, but it's got that spiral to it, snails, snail shells, same thing. It's got that spiral. It's found in everything, from atoms to the Earth's geomagnetic field, all the way up to the solar system and into the galaxies. And so, the next slide. This is a very, very, very rudimentary view. Okay, and so this top one right here, generally these lines, they would not be horizontal, they would be slanted. Okay, because the thing is just stuff is constantly moving, right? And if you think about that, when things move, it's not staying straight, right? It's twisting, it's flowing with that. And so if you think about if you think about that, the Fibonacci sequence and how that looks in nature, right? You can understand exactly how the toroidal fields of the body, human body work. And so right here, the other thing you notice is on the image on the left. Okay, so this one over here, um, you can see that the heart is actually pumping right here, right? But it's only a small inner one. It does go to the outer, but it's not the whole thing. All right. And so let's get into the why. All right. And here you've got this as well. All right. The outer field. And so yeah. All right. So there's overlaps. All right. So your brain, even in your head, this toroid, right? So the upper dantian, it actually overlaps with the middle dantian and the lower. All right. All of these have slight overlaps. So I'm going to link this tomorrow, or not tomorrow. I'm going to link this the end of the week in the next video. Um, what How these overlaps, how you can see these used throughout occult writings and topics and other things. Um, yeah, it's going to be actually pretty cool. Anyway, all right. So physically feeling energy. Okay, so let's dive into some exercises for you guys to practice. Okay, these are some ways you can physically feel the magnetism of your energy field. Okay, the easiest one is the chi ball. All right. All right. Tai Chi, they teach you how to make a ball. In Reiki, they also teach you how to make a ball. And so you'd rub your hands together like so for a few minutes. All right. And then eventually, when you start feeling getting warm, you'll kind of start to feel them. They almost feel like they're losing a little bit of feeling. All right. But they're not. It's just a static charge building up on your hands. Okay. So if you go like that, and then you start to feel, you can start to feel there's a little bit of For me, mine, I can start to feel it right out about here. Okay, so just play around. Like right here, like even going a little bit further out. So I generally tell people about waist. Start at the waist, drop your arms, your shoulders, and just see if you can feel the energy ball. And what it will feel like is if you've ever played with magnets and you've taken them and put them on the you put the one down, you put the other one, and it kind of floats over, but you have to hold it, right? Otherwise it'll shoot off the other. That's kind of what you'll feel, but it's very, very subtle. All right. Um, and so the opposite of that, right, is this way you will get repulsion. This way you will get just very, very easy flow. Okay. Other ways are Saivite and Kundalini over time. Both of these are advanced practices, and we will definitely talk about them, but outside the scope of this video for sure. All right, so seeing energy, right? You can actually see auras. So there's a hand wall exercise that as a kid they would teach you in school, and you're like, oh, what is this? But later you realize this was actually an exercise they were teaching you to kind of see that. And so what you would do is you put the hand out in front of you up against like a white or a black background, white wall, chalkboard, whatever. Put your hand out in front of you and just stare at it for a few minutes, and then try to stare through it, look behind it, and just let your peripheral vision just expand out, right? Just like almost like um if you're into sigil gazing or anything like that, how you would go into that kind of trance, or the magic eye images, right? Just do the same thing and just kind of look at the wall behind you, and eventually what you'll get is a kind of a halo around the body. And so that is essentially the aura. And so you can do this with a glass of water as well, through breathing techniques and other things. Also an advanced technique um, that that I will teach you how to magnetize water and things like that in future videos. All right. All right. All right. So pendulum. I'm going to release a video either this next week or the following about pendulums. Okay. Chi, vital life force energy, prana, whatever your preferred term for it is, it becomes stagnant, right? It doesn't flow properly, when the body is tense. Okay. When your body is tensed up, it doesn't flow. And so this is actually a tension technique that you can use, to build and store before moving the energy throughout or outside of the body. And so again, we'll discuss that later, but just know that is generally what happens, right? If you're sitting stagnant. So your sore tendons or sore muscles, when people lay in bed or sit around for a long period of time, their body gets sore. That's why. All right. um, all right, so yeah, so a hugging tree stance, in Tai Chi, you would generally use that as a warm up, and so that's actually to help you with your balance and such, but help you build up and store chi, all right, in certain areas. And when you're doing this, it actually, believe it or not, it can collect up here in the shoulders. Okay. And so then you ground and you release after, and so with that in mind, all right, I have seen a lot of people, and oh my gosh, I do have a pendulum over here. So I've seen a lot of people go like this with a pendulum and be like, oh, look, it works, right? No, that's not how a pendulum works. Okay. Pendulums have inside of them, and I'm going off on a little bit of tangent here, but it's needed. All right. Pendulums have inside of them this divination rod. Okay. This is one of the pendulums I make. Okay. I get these stones in raw form. I drill them. I polish them, etc. So anyway, um, they have a metal rod that goes through them. That is how the energy transfers. Okay. Um, It is actually energy driven. It's not motion driven. It's not, whatever this or that. Okay, and I'll show you guys how to actively actually use a pendulum, um, for energy work. Okay. All right, energy cultivation. So, how do you cultivate and build energy? For the purpose of this discussion right here, some basic examples of topics you can research if you wish in the meantime, while I kind of get ramped up and get the basics out of the way for you guys, so I can absolutely just let off the brakes and go. Okay. But here's some topics if you would like to research on your own in the meantime, on the screen here. And so I will have demonstration videos, again, when I start getting past all the just basic general knowledge. Okay. So Tai Chi, Qigong, Kundalini, and breath work, that for me personally, that was the path. All right. That, um, coupled with occult visualization, methods, and even memory rewrite, uh, techniques, and some other things, right? Those are how I made myself better. And so I'm sharing with you because what works for me might not work for you, and I'm giving you all the knowledge that I collected so that you have this knowledge to go forward and learn research on your own if you want. um, Again, this may not have been the path that I would have chosen on my own, right? It's the path that the universe threw at me. It said, "This is what you're going to do, and this is what you're going to learn, and go." And I'm grateful for it. Right today, I look back and I'm like, man, that was phenomenal. All right. So some scientific bridges for you to go and research if you'd like. So the biofield research by the HeartMath Institute, fascia and meridians, right? A vagus nerve central channel parallels, bioelectricity, a polyvagal theory, and nervous system regulation. I would also throw out there that, you should probably go and look at all of the organs, right, that are aligned with the chakras, and so you can understand how that all works. It's phenomenal, right? When you actually sit down and research how all of these organs work together, how the body, from the upper, middle, and lower dantian, how it actually works. It's amazing, right? It's no short of a miracle. And so, um, yeah, I would throw that out there as well. Here's some references as usual. I will throw these out in the description below. And finally, all right, we are going to I tomorrow, not tomorrow. Let me switch video here. Okay, so ah there. All right, second video this week is going to be on the Emerald tablet. All right. So we're going to dive deep. All right. As you watch videos and listen to people sharing the same information over and over and over, regurgitating the same things over and over and over. Do you ever like sit back and ask yourself, what's missing, right? This can't be it. If this is it, somebody would have already made this thing and they would be like some crazy rich famous person, whatever, right? Yeah. So, Friday, as above, so below. The alchemists were absolutely infatuated with astronomy, the macrocosm and the microcosm, etc., etc., etc. It's absolutely a thing. All right. And what if I told you that Hermes Trismegistus, right? His name was thrice great for a different reason. And you're not going to want to miss this one. All right. So definitely tune in. All right. If you're not subscribed to notifications, definitely check, click that button, subscribe notifications. Again, you're not going to want to miss this. All right. Have a good one. Thank you.